Let's freaking go. We have another wonderful live stream set up for you, as it is going to be a fun next 48 hours for LSU football, as TREY'DEZ Green is more than likely to join the LSU Tigers. And we will have a video out tomorrow for when he actually does say that he's going to LSU. Hopefully, that is what happens. He is somebody that everybody is coming after. So, we're going to talk a lot about him tonight because this is a big night for the young man from East Feliciana. 6'7". Let me repeat, 6'7". You want to talk about a big target? How about that? Can't miss him. I think even the most inaccurate quarterback can hit TREY'DEZ Green in his catch radius. And we have one in this class, Kamarion Pimpton, and another guy who could snag as a tight end, Jackson McGohan, and that Mason Taylor guy is a pretty good football player as well. So we're going to talk about the tight end position, what I look for at that position, and a little bit later, we're probably going to show you some TREY'DEZ Green basketball highlights. I also, though, want to start tonight's live stream talking about the secondary. Now, what's very interesting about DB play is we tend to think that it absolutely positively needs to be elite for you to go win national championships. And look, the better your secondary is, the better off your team is going to be. The name of the game is preventing explosive plays and hitting explosive plays. And our secondary last year, for the most part, did a good job of preventing explosive plays from happening. But this secondary in the spring game, that was probably one of the worst secondary performances I can remember from a spring game. And the one thing that makes it a little bit concerning is, of the players that we would like to think are going to be a part of the LSU secondary next year, only two of them did not play in the spring game, and that was Deuce Chestnut and Major Burns. So it does make you concerned just a little bit with the secondary. Now, once again, it is just indeed a spring game. So type Y for yes, type N for no. You are worried sick about the LSU secondary. And look, I know it is uncharted territory here at LSU that you are worried about the secondary. But to be honest, it's honestly pretty common, because last year we were worried about the secondary. So look, let me know if you guys are worried about it. I gonna be honest, I am a little, just a little bit. Okay. But I do think we need to give Denver Harris some time, J.K. Johnson some time to get their feet under them. Okay. So let me know what you guys think. I feel as if this unit will get better, and hopefully in the next 5 days, there is somebody that pops up in the portal. Lots of people leaving the Colorado Buffaloes that could come help LSU's secondary. Okay. So I'm very interested to talk to each and every one of you on this glorious evening. I will also say this. We are posting a lot of content. So in the past 48 to 72 hours, you've gotten not one, but 2-hour-long film studies. You had 2 live streams after the spring game. Of course, we are posting a ton of short form content as well on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all the websites you could think of. Facebook, we're trying to grow the Facebook page. I am horrible at Facebook, so you guys need to go on Facebook and share the Power Hour LSU Facebook page, like it, and all that good stuff. And the most important thing, and I mean it is the single most important thing, all right? It's very important to keep this in mind. The Patreon. We are growing there. We are well into the mid 60s now when it comes to patrons supporting the PHL movement. You get exclusive content there. There is a lot, probably more Patreon content that I've ever posted in a week. And I accidentally published one today that was actually supposed to be published for next week on 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star recruiting at LSU. So check it all out. When you join the Patreon, you get some cool swag to go along with it. So patreon.com/LSU football. Okay. What's up, Tommy? Good to see you. It's been a while. I know you've been really busy with life there, Skipper, holding it down. LA Mom, who I think was the first in here today alongside my guy, Jay Forbes, who was with me earlier on the football card show. Cliff, good to see you. Oh, the Master Blaster and Code the Zone is in here. What's up? Good to see you. The Master Blaster. And everybody, welcome Duran Tross to the channel. I think I've seen you before, but if I haven't, everybody, welcome Duran. The kid is not announced. He will announce in the next 24 hours. Okay, so please be patient. And the kid is going to more than likely pick LSU. The On3 prediction machine has it at a 99% chance. So you should feel pretty good. I think everybody at LSU feels pretty good that the number 2 player in the state of Louisiana is going to pick LSU. So, one more thing, okay? This could be a year where LSU lands every elite kid in the state of Louisiana. Okay. Let me repeat. This could be the year that LSU lands each and every kid in the state of Louisiana. Right now, knock on wood, you could very well see it. Okay. Now, I am not the recruiting insider. It's hard to do this. You got to call a lot of people, got to stay on top of it. Of course, I talk to people that do that and pause, whatever. And people that work in the industry, right? This could be the year. This could be the year that every elite kid in the state of Louisiana picks LSU. Now, does that mean anything? If all of the top 10 Louisiana players pick LSU, it does and it doesn't, right? There are years where LSU doesn't land all those guys, and it turns out to still be fine, right? By far, the most productive recruiting class of all time, especially if you just factor in just high school recruits, is the 2017 recruiting class. A lot of the elite kids went out of state, and that opened up slots for Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and a lot of people on the back end of that class. So Jordan wants to talk some Colin Simmons. I'll happily do that right now. So, obviously, we're focusing mostly on TREY'DEZ, but it is also important to note that the number 1 player that is within the realm of possibility for LSU to land this cycle is Colin Simmons, who is currently sitting as the number 3 national player on 247. He is basically a top 10, top 15 5-star everywhere you look. So that is the top 1% of the top 1% recruits. And let's start with where LSU stands right now. So they stand pretty good. Obviously, LSU doesn't have a defensive line coach announced yet. I won't say anything else on that front, but I do think at some point LSU will be fine in their re-recruitment of Colin Simmons when the new guy does indeed come in. So Colin Simmons might not even be coached by the defensive line coach anyway. If he's going to be a jack, he would be coached by John Jancic. So it should be pretty interesting to see how all of that actually, develops. But what I will tell you is if Colin Simmons were indeed to pick LSU, just based on what I've seen. So I go through and I watch as much high school junior footage as I possibly can of the guys that are within LSU's orbit. And Colin Simmons is by far the best player I've seen. And there are some really good ones that LSU already has locked up in this class. But he is truly, truly, truly special. A very elite player at an elite position. You go look at pretty much any NFL value chart, and the number 2 position that they covet is the edge rusher position. And that guy is so freaking good at a lot of different things as an edge rusher: ball skills, balance, turning the corner, chasing people down, playing hard, everything. He can really play. And I think that would be a beyond home run hit for LSU. So, yeah, I think he's really good. And the good news is there are other people in his orbit that like LSU, including his running back teammate at Duncanville, Caden Durham, who is a running back that is also trending towards LSU right now. So, look, obviously Durham is a good player in his own right. LSU, you would like to get a running back in every class. 2025, Harlem Berry, and there's a lot of good running backs in that cycle. But Caden Durham can really scoot. Also like that he wears the number 29. You normally see all the elite guys just wear single digits. Rock that 29, baby. Let's go. So you should feel pretty good in the direction there. Obviously, it's harder to get an out-of-state kid than an in-state kid with LSU. But I'm telling you, if LSU gets both of those guys and you hammer home Louisiana and you get a few guys from the portal, the future is looking very bright for LSU. So pretty excited about that. Jeremy, shoot me a DM, and I got a PHO hat, and we will settle all that up. Good to see you on a glorious evening. Tommy, H-Town Creole, the biggest super chatter in our last live stream was H-Town Creole. I really, really, really appreciate it. Tyler, what's up, man? He was at the PHO get-together from this past weekend. Brandon, the exotic barber, good to see you. I might need a shape up soon. Good to see you. So yeah, let's do it. What is the difference between what Matt House runs versus what Saban and Bama does? So that's honestly, and I'm a film study guy. I am not Coach Vass. I'm not, like the philosophical. I don't know every last little thing um, about all the intricacies of their defenses, especially Nick Saban's, because it is very complicated. Um, Obviously, Saban is known for the rip list stuff, the split field coverages. He really modernized that in the game that we watch today, and pretty much. Now, once again, I do film studies, but I'm not a high level coach or anything like that. But a very simplified breakdown of what Saban did to the modern defense is a lot of like the things that you see coverage wise comes from him, right? And a lot of the terminology may not have necessarily started with him, including calling some defensive players the money. I think that started with Nick Saban. But yeah, a lot of the things that you see now are Saban, or they call it Sabanese, if you will. Um, what's the difference between what Matt House does and what Saban does? There's really not a whole lot of difference in terms of where people actually line up. But I do think Saban coverage wise is just a little bit more aggressive than what Matt is. Uh, but Matt is really good. Matt, if I'm being perfectly square with you, once again, you're comparing Matt House to what everyone considers the best defensive coach of the modern era. So, obviously it's very complicated. But, Matt is the closest thing we have had since Aranda. And it's not just because we're back running 3-4 with the standing jack. It's just exotic wise, we're just so much better. Now, something that has helped Matt out is having Harold Perkins and BJ Ojolari in year one being truly dominant football players. But yeah, it's truly amazing how good Matt was. Now, Matt had one really bad game. It was the Texas A&M game. It was really bad. But all the other games, yeah, you got tore up by Georgia. They were the best offense last year in the sport. Uh, and you had some other, bad outings, but for the most part, the Mississippi State game was a masterclass. The Alabama game was a masterclass. The Auburn game after going down 17-0 was really good. Bad quarterback, but still, Matt was very good in his first year. Now, second year, we'll see. And I think obviously as we move forward to the Florida State game, can we get off the field on third down? As bad as our offense was and as atrocious as our special teams was, defensively, we got lit up on third, and we were not the most disciplined defense. But then again, it was the first game of the season. So we'll see. Now, good to see Pigeon Forge in here. What's up, William? Good to see you. Jordan wants to talk some mush rush. Okay, we can do that. You want me to put my name? Oh, you're calling me a water boy. What are you talking about, man? I'm a defensive lineman. I still got 4 years of eligibility. In fact, I got 5 years to play for. I'll redshirt the first year to learn the system. Huh? Good to see you, man. Richard, good to see you. I know this is obviously an LSU show, but with the portal, everything affects all of CFB. Did Dion at Colorado want those 13 gone this week? The number's actually going up by the day. So he could go in the portal, or was he caught off guard? He's definitely caught off guard because he had a kid that transferred from Jackson State to Colorado, and now he's back in the portal. Something's amiss. Jawan Johnson's obviously the kid that will be most closely associated with LSU. He decommitted. He wasn't on the team. He's a 2024 kid, and he's trending towards LSU now. So not really a whole lot from an LSU perspective that you have to worry about. What I will say, though, is if you're Dion and you're a big personality and the first thing, you had that really viral opening comment or speech to the team. I could see how a lot of players just didn't really like that. And look, some of them had dominant spring games and they still entered the portal. So the bottom line is this. Colorado wasn't going to be a good team in year one. They've got two really, really good players. Their quarterback, who is Dion's son, and Travis Hunter. Now, they have other pieces that are okay, but they won one game last year. Let me repeat. They won one game, and they are in a Power 5 conference. This is going to be brutal in this first year. But, we'll see how it goes. It obviously makes the sport a lot funner, though, with Dion in it. So there you have it. When was the last time BK beat FSU? Not last year, but the year before, Notre Dame. Hopefully we get some depth in the portal while it's open. AP, I don't see Saban lasting too much longer. He looks rough. So I'll go ahead and address this. A lot of you probably want to talk some Alabama. As I've always said about college football, it is a very unique sport in that you aren't just who you are, it's who your opponents are. Your schedule is everything in college football. If you have to play Alabama every year, there's a good chance you're going to lose that game every year. Okay. We're obviously lucky enough to have enough talent to beat them. But most programs are never going to beat them. They just aren't. And I think a lot of you aren't interested in knowing if this is the beginning of the end of Alabama football. So this is 2 consecutive years without them winning a national championship. And they've had this spring game where, none of the quarterbacks look great. And They hire an offensive coordinator who isn't the most well regarded from Notre Dame. They hire Kevin Steele, who's been in the SEC for a while as a defensive coordinator. So they lose both of their coordinators. One of them ended up going to another school in the division. That was obviously a Saban-related decision to go from Saban to, Lane Kiffin. And, it's a very weird atmosphere around there. And now you hear that Tyler Buckner is associated with Alabama now, and he's on a recruiting visit. And Buckner isn't really that great of a quarterback at Notre Dame, which is why they brought in Sam Hartman from Wake Forest. It's a mess, and defensively, I mean, they lost a lot of really good players. Brian Branch is gone. Will Anderson is gone. And then obviously offensively, they lose their left tackle, Tyler Steen, and they lose Jahmyr Gibbs. And wait, they're missing somebody else. I think they're losing somebody else. Oh, yes. My number one rated quarterback in this class, which is Bryce Young. And if you watch Power Hour SEC earlier today, you already know that. So look, gotta be honest with you. The truth is there is some concern that this is the beginning of the end of Nick Saban. Now, it's not a concern for us, but let's pump the brakes a little bit. Alabama did get 9 5-stars in this last recruiting class. Nick Saban isn't a bad coach. Like, he can still coach with the best of them. He still has amazing game plans. His red zone defense is some of the most sound red zone defense you will ever see. I will say that rewatching, or I'd say rewatching, watching the Alabama spring game for the first time last night, I do think one thing is holding Alabama back, and you're not going to hear this anywhere else. It's actually an on-field coaching flaw that Nick Saban has. And you saw it some of the Arkansas game, and you saw it in some other games. He is not good at fourth down management. And in the modern game, if you play as if you are going to be someone that is going to punt every time on fourth down, you become far more open to defenses knowing what you're going to do. And you saw it in the spring game where, if it was 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, all the routes they would run would be past the sticks, and that's not what you want to do. And one underrated thing that Brian Kelly did in year one at LSU, and this is just one of those things where if you just look really closely, it's never really the biggest play of the game, but it's these decisions that don't get the highlights from Brian Kelly that really pushed LSU forward in a lot of these close games. He was really good on these 3rd and 7s and 3rd and 8s, running the football, which is a very smart thing to do on 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 8. Now, you would think it's not, but you want to set it up for a manageable fourth. And a lot of the times we ran the football on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6s, if you will. We actually picked it up on the run itself because Josh Williams was really freaking good for us last year. So, I think Saban is falling behind with some of these punting decisions, and we've seen what happened with Jimbo Fisher these past couple years because of it. Now, if it is in your heart's desire, you want to support the channel, go on and get you some of this PHL merch. Okay, PowerHourLSU.com is the place to go. And what are we giving out tonight? Kind of want to give this out tomorrow for the TREY'DEZ Green announcement. I'll do it tonight as well. Here's a Craig Buster Davis autograph card right here. I will also hook you up with the Justin Jefferson and Joe Burrow card if you get 2 pieces of PHL merch tonight. Okay, check it out, PowerHourLSU.com. Okay. Long sleeve? Oh, well, prices are right there, man. Yeah, that was a bunch of bunk sent out by Tyler Van Dyke. Tyler Van Dyke is terrible. Alabama is still going to be at least 10-2 every year. I don't know about that. I really don't. Jordan with another super chat. Love the spring game film studies, and I like the little genie here. What's up, Pooh Bear? Good to see you as well. Simper, thanks for your super chat. I'll tell you, every time Simper super chats, it looks like it's a $100 super chat on my end. But let me see how it looks on YouTube because I have like a different kind of software right here. Yeah, I see it. It's crazy. Ha ha ha. Taking a look at the poll question really quickly before we talk some spring game film. Grade how I messed this up. How you feel about LSU secondary heading into 2023? B is winning. We good, but so there you go. Now let's talk some spring game film studies. I actually made an editing mistake on the one yesterday. Garrett Nussmeyer. And you see, I actually left a big chunk that I meant to edit out. Sometimes when I go over a play, I will get a second opinion from someone, and that person may or may not be smarter than me. Uh, and I do a whole recut of the whole thing. Sometimes there are some plays, and especially since I don't have all 22, it's hard to really evaluate what's going on. And so I reach out to quarterbacks, OCs, coaches, and all of that, and it helps. So if there's one, I go back and I recut it, and I made a mistake not cutting out something. So if it sounded a little repetitive in the middle of the Garrett Nussmeyer one yesterday, I really, really, really do apologize. Now, going through a few things, and we talked about this briefly last night on Blake's show, but I thought some players on rewatch looked better than what I initially thought. And the hardest thing to really take in, especially with the Kyron Lacey game, is and I released a video. Branson cut it up. We posted it. We'll post it on YouTube tomorrow, but we posted on TikTok and all those things, Instagram and all that stuff. One thing that really just stood out to me in rewatching the game is Brian Thomas Jr. looked very good. We know Malik Neighbors is good, okay? But BTJ, even though Kyron Lacey had the catch, and of course, if you make a catch and a run after it like that, you're probably going to be the game MVP. That was the biggest play, and you give him the game MVP for that. But the more consistent game from start to finish was Brian Thomas Jr.'s game. The guy did everything. He did everything. And the more I think about it, the more I truly believe BTJ was the best player on the field this past weekend. And sometimes it is not what you do when you get the football, it's what you do when you don't, right? Are you drawing pass interference penalties? BTJ did that. Are you getting other people open? Kyron out route early in the game. We were backed up. BTJ did a good job getting Kyron open. 2-point conversion catch. We ran the rollout Alabama play. BTJ sold it and then peeled off and made a really difficult catch in the back of the end zone. Also caught an RPO. Garrett had to throw it high to make sure it cleared the RPO defenders, and he made an amazing catch high. By the way, Brian Thomas Jr., once again, can freaking block like there's no tomorrow. So, the more you peel back, the layers to what this guy did this past weekend shows you how complete of a player he actually is. Now, the next step for him is going to be, can you consistently be that elite level producer? Because there were some games where he was quiet. Now Jack Besh is gone. Now Jared Jenkins is gone. Now Kayshawn is gone. You are firmly in this top two. And what I would do if I were LSU, I understand that you have all these other wide receivers, and we can't wait to see Aaron Anderson. We can't wait to see Shelton Sampson. We can't wait to see all these different guys. The truth is, when you actually watch and look for the little nuances of the game of football, and you ask yourself who is really doing the little things to help us win games, from the Alabama game on to now, BTJ, you just keep seeing these little things. And look, if there's one play I'll never forget from the Alabama game, obviously we're never going to forget the Mason Taylor catches. We're never going to forget a lot of different things, but the block on Elias Ricks will never be forgotten. And those things matter to me, right? I like looking up those little Easter eggs that are, buried that you may not see the first time when you're watching the game. It really was amazing. So there you go. True or false? LSU has the best QB room, receivers, linebackers, offensive line, defensive front in the SEC. Okay, so all of those things are probably true. Kidding. It's probably all of them is probably not true, but let's go position by position. Okay. LSU has the best QB room. Okay. Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier. That is undoubtedly true. I don't think LSU has the best starting quarterback. I have Jaden number 2, only behind, and I know I get in trouble for this every time, but only behind KJ. But LSU's got the best backup. True. LSU's got the best starter. Top 5, absolutely. Top 2, I think. And I think hopefully by the end of next year, Jaden is number 1. So best QB room, yes. Now, are there some other quarterback rooms that are up there? I like Georgia's room with Beck, Vandergriff, and Stockton. I thought they all did some really good things in the spring game. But yes, okay. The best receivers in the SEC. True. Malik's the best number 1 receiver in the SEC. I don't think anybody would really disagree with that. Hyatt's gone. Mingo's gone. Kayshawn's gone. Shorter's gone. Malik might have been already better than all those guys. So Malik's number 1. As far as it being a number 2 weapon, BTJ's up there as well. I like A&M's receiver room. Anaya Smith is a really good football player. Evan Stewart's a really good football player. But I still like LSU's better. Other receiving rooms in the SEC, Bama's is just not where it needs to be at all. Georgia's is really good with Lovett now there. But yeah, best receiver room, let's roll with LSU. Okay. And I do agree, Dan. I mean, we don't have enough info, but we are projecting here. Let's see what a few of you have to say so far with these. QB, yes. Wide receiver, yes. QB and I used to be pretty close. I used to have done his radio show before, and he's done mine a lot. Don't want me to try and get him on? I'll get him on. Let's see. QB room, wide receivers, yes and yes. Linebackers. I think Dumas Johnson is back at Georgia. So you always default to Georgia's linebackers. I mean, every year, it doesn't matter who it is. They're just loaded there. With Dean, Nolan Smith, especially if you factor in Jack with the linebacker room. I don't think LSU's got the best. But Spates and Perk are really good. I think what's going to be key is developing the backups. How do the backup linebackers actually work itself out for LSU? Okay. Uh, but I think Perk and Omar Spates, when the season actually starts, it'll be pretty clear that those guys are the best. So we'll go with True here. Now there are some other really good linebackers in the SEC, but I'm gonna go with LSU for linebacker. So far we are 3 for 3. Okay, I think I'm not being biased here saying that. I still like A&M's receivers. So I really do. I like Anais Smith. I like Evan Stewart. Um, I think Chris Marshall at Ole Miss is going to have a really good year next year. Um, you can also make a case for Ole Miss's QB room as well in terms of just pure depth. I think they have a better 3 deep than our 3 deep, but I'll still take our top 2. Now we get to offensive line, and look, this is where the buck stops. Georgia's got the best offensive line in the SEC, and that is not close. Van Pran, they return him, they return Rutledge. Uh, they're nasty. They're absolutely nasty. Now, yeah, I think as much as I love Will, as much as I love Emery and those guys, I think our tackles are as good as theirs. But yeah, I would say Georgia's. But obviously, it's tough to beat them. They return starters that have played on 2 national championship teams. So, uh, and now you get into, is LSU a top 5 or like a top 3 offensive line? Probably. Tennessee lost Darnell Wright. That was their best player on the offensive line last year. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think you got to say Georgia's offensive line's the best. Now, defensive front in the SEC. Man, once again, it's hard to go against Georgia. It just is, and Alabama's, I think, front is going to be really good next year. They do return Dallas Turner. But yeah, Georgia's defensive front. I mean, they lost Bear Alexander, and they're not panicking at all. Um, they're deep. They're talented. They lost Owen Smith. They lose Jalen Carter. I don't know how they do it. They're just deep. Now, if Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo play at the top of their ability, and we get a Jordan Jefferson, the West Virginia transfer, if he plays the way we think he can play, watch out. Now, I do think the LSU defensive line, where there are some issues here, is there are some players that are scholarship players that are on that defensive line that I don't feel comfortable saying they are ready to play in the SEC. And there's quite a few of them. That's where the new defensive line coach is going to have to come in and really get these guys ready. Mason Smith, Mekhi Wingo, it's not enough. Now, Guillory showed me some good things stopping the run. I do worry about a few technical things and jumping off sides every now and then. But I think Tank, his dad, watches the channel. I think Tank is going to be a pretty good rotational run stopper for us. And what's really going to hurt us next year, Jared, is not having Ojulari. BJ was really good for us, and it kind of flew under the radar because Perk was Perk, but BJ won the Auburn game for us. He really did. And yeah, I mean, Auburn game, Mississippi State game were 2 of his best games, and he just continued to play really well for us. Played a lot of snaps. There wasn't really a backup jack. We didn't play Xavier Carter. We didn't play Desmond Little. So, Ovie Akufu has played a lot of football. He is a very solid player. I don't see the upper tier upside, but we don't need that position to be Ojulari good. I still am going to stand by my evaluation of Deshaun Womack. I still think he can be a really good player for LSU in year one. And even though we didn't see him, he did get that Arden Key number 49. He did get that Barkevius Mingo number 49. So watch out. Watch out. So, but yeah. So of these, I really enjoyed doing this. Once again, I've not done like deep, extensive breakdowns of pretty much all the position groups throughout the SEC. But yeah, I think I do agree with QB room. It's close. I like Tennessee's QB room as well. I'm a huge Nico guy. Huge Nico. Huge. And we'll see. He was my number one guy for coming out of 2023 at QB. I think he's ready to play now. I do. I really like him a lot. But Milton, I think, is going to do really well in that offense. Other QB rooms, obviously Ole Miss, we brought him up. So there you go. And look, Savion Jones is going to be a freaking beast this year. I'm going to say it once. I'm going to say it twice. Say it over and over again. Savion Jones plays so freaking hard. He is now this is going to be a throwback name. All right. This is going to be a throwback name. He reminds you so much of Sam Montgomery. They are very similar players. They just hustle. They get after it. And they're run and chase. They're not going to have the most bend. But they get after it. Now, what's interesting is Sam Montgomery said after his career was over that he didn't, if I remember correctly, he said he didn't play every play 100%. You wouldn't have really guessed it. I mean, he got after it. Okay. Yeah, I didn't. Hard to go against A&M as well here. What is it? McKinley Jackson, Walter Nolan, and Hicks they have coming in, the 5-star. Kind of hard to go against A&M's D-line. Now, they didn't perform as well as you thought they would perform last year. But they did versus us. They tore us up. And that was part of the reason why we lost that game. Then again, we couldn't get off the field on defense either, so it helps out. Mick, good to see you. Hope you're feeling better. Yeah, I think Moose is still there. Yeah, I think the portal's a little bit more bare than we thought it was going to be the second time around. So, yeah. But the bottom line, to Jared's really good super chat question, is LSU is stacked. They have a stacked roster. I understand. It's the title of the video. What about the secondary? Okay. What about them? But it's not for a lack of trying. I think you read 247 Sports, and they'll tell you that nobody brought in a defensive back call quite like LSU's via the portal. And even though these plays were not made against Malik Neighbors and they weren't made against Brian Thomas Jr., LaTerrence Welsh, Watch out. Terrence Welch. Yeah, I think it's too soon to say that. Look, I am right about some things. I'm wrong about some things as well. I was a little shocked by the Denver Harris game. It was a rough performance. Keep a spade here. But yeah, it wasn't where it needed to be. However, I'm not going to shy away with what I saw from him in high school and the little bit we saw from him versus Texas A&M. So let's give him a little time. And if you can't get it done, Zach Alexander, Deuce Chestnut, Terrence Welsh will roll with it. It's a good question, though. It's a good question. Ad free content. There you go. Yeah, don't try and throw a bunch of ads your way. But I will throw it out there. If you want to support PHL, if you want me to read your name aloud every live stream, I'm happy to do it. Now, I'm very not picky, but I like to make sure that we are on the same page. I'm not going to take some money just to take it. But if you think of someone that you think would align with what we do here, feel free to bring them on in. I always love making a little bit of money. I don't make a lot doing this. It's my passion, though. It is my full-time gig. But if you could think of someone, Rotolos, are you listening? Feel free to come join our movement. As you guys see, we are very luckily growing. We are very luckily, building the Patreon and all that stuff. And I'm very lucky to have a bunch of die-hard viewers of the channel. And I always say this as well. This channel is not for everybody. You've got to love LSU football. It's got to be something that is a piece of you. I'm not looking for Joe Schmo who only shows up to 2 games a year just to, schmooze around and drink a few beers at a tailgate. I want people who adore what Ruben Randall did for LSU, what freaking Lau Hitt did for modern day LSU. I want those type of LSU fans. Get the DraftKings. There you go. I wish. But I am proud that I am part of the Underdog Fantasy fam. Check it out. UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code Carter. You can get best ball drafts, all the good stuff there. UnderdogFantasy.com. But there you go. And I will say this. My favorite PHL thing will always be the live streams, right? Not everybody can go to meetups. But when we do a meetup, come. You should do it. We'll do another one in Bossier at some point. I'm already speaking with Ty Christiana for the next one. And we are going to try and get the Patrick Queen interview edited and out. So there you go. I highly do recommend, though, you come because I want to meet each and every one of you. Okay? So there you have it. Now, what was I looking up here? Okay, there we go. That's what I wanted. So these are a few photos from this past weekend. Now, I'll answer a few questions. Building community from the ground. Zero trusting, I would know. Carter should pat yourself on the back because you've done a great thing here. Yeah, there you go. You know what? You want to know something? I really appreciate you, Maranson. I really do. What's up, Reed? Good to see you, man. What's really cool is when you get to meet some of these people. There's Jure. Really enjoyed my Jure interview. There's Gary. It's a new PHLer right here. That's actually Michaela Williams' dad, Pat. He is awesome. I would love to get him on one time. He was very funny. So super cool. You work weekends? We'll do a weekday one just for Pigeon Forge. How about that? Stumps. Hey, it would be pretty fun. But Daniel get to see. Hate to lose to Texas A&M. I do. I do. Now, type Y for yes, type in for no. Okay. Type Y for yes, type in for no. You believe, okay, only in your heart of hearts, you believe LSU will no doubt finish as a top 10 team next year. Type Y for yes, type in for no. LSU will no doubt finish as a top 10 team next year. All right. Type Y for yes, type in for no. What's up, Richard, on Facebook? Good to see you. Once again, if you are watching on Facebook, please like and share. I am not smart in when it comes to Facebook. Good to see you again, Todd. What's up, brother? Let's see. Branson says, injuries do happen. Why, but likely, but not 100. Likely, but not 100. Simper says number 1. There you go. What's that, Amacat? So, let me ask you this. Type Y for yes, type in for no. You feel Jaden Daniels will be an all SEC quarterback next year. Okay, type Y for yes, type in for no. Not first team, but just first team, second team, third team, or honorable mention. So that means you feel Jaden is a certain top 4 quarterback next year in the SEC. Let's see here. Come on. Amacat says yes. Branson says yes. He is be a top 4. What's up, Yanni? Good to see you. I believe Nuss will also get a chance. There you have it. I feel pretty comfortable Jaden's going to be a top 4 SEC quarterback. I feel pretty good about that. I really do. I think some of it is this. The SEC quarterbacks are not good. So once again, Bryce Young's gone. Anthony Richardson's gone. Stetson's gone. So a lot of these quarterbacks that were very good or the potential to take a massive leap forward went to the NFL. Okay. I think Jaden's got a really good opportunity. I really do think so. And you guys know, I'll shoot it straight, especially at the game's most important position. I've been called too critical of Jaden. I've been called too lenient on Jaden. If you were to go through and look at my comments on my deep dives about Max Johnson, the same thing. It's almost identical. The same exact thing. One thing I do like about the LSU offense with Jaden Daniels at quarterback is we did see last year that, and we've done a lot of this. I won't go too deep into this again, but we have picked up some new subscribers here. We tend to think of quarterbacks, especially at the collegiate level, too much as throwers, right? We tend to think of things too much as passing attacks. Like, I think they will throw more this year, but Ole Miss's spread offense is a run-based attack. It is a very run-heavy offense, which is why, they go get Evans out of the portal and Quinshon Judkins had the year that he had. You think of another spread innovator, Chip Kelly. You immediately think spread offense, throw, DTR, but they were also a run base attack first. Okay. And same thing is true here when you think of quarterbacks. The one thing about Jaden is he just makes your run game so much better just by him being on the field. Now, there is a reason why I think LSU's running game wasn't at its best. Number one, we didn't have Josh. We didn't have John. We didn't have Armani. So we didn't have our full arsenal of running backs. But two things about the spring game is, number one, we didn't do a lot of zone read stuff because it's kind of pointless if you can't hit the quarterback. Number two, we did something that we didn't do a lot of last year, which is pulling one guy from just pulling our linemen, pulling multiple guys from one side of the line of scrimmage to the next. We did that on quite a few running plays, something we didn't do a whole lot of last year, and we did not block it that well for a lot of different reasons. Some of it were design flaws, some of it were execution issues, but that wasn't our running attack. It just wasn't. And honestly, I think LSU's in that aspect are playing some games here. We are going, and I would be very shocked next year if we are not an inside zone heavy team. Okay. That's what we did a really good job of last year. And I think, all right, I'm not going to overhype this guy because I'm not in particularly love with this transfer. I think he is very solid, but the one thing I think this guy can do, Mason Lunsford, is move people. All right. It is hard to find offensive linemen that can move people. Lunsford can move people. He is basically Anthony Bradford, not as athletic, but very good at getting people to move, which is hard because the people you're moving weigh 300 pounds. In my opinion, the inconsistency of play last season makes me leery to commit to win-loss prediction. No one could have predicted the play at Texas A&M and Arky. Do you have a wins-loss prediction for 2023? So it's a really good question, Danny, and I'm going to give the political answer here and say I don't, but it's more so because I've not had I'm still kind of in LSU spring mode, NFL draft mode. I'm actually going through and looking at all these spring games and looking at all these rosters and seeing how some of these portal situations would play itself out. But I will answer your question like this, okay? I think the schedule got easier for LSU from last year to this year, okay? I think, and I understand there are plenty of you that fire back at me about this. One of you in particular, all right? I'm a little bit higher on consensus from the LSU media on Bryce Young. I think Bryce was so freaking good. And I know he won a Heisman, but the guy is so good. And Alabama's supporting cast offensively, outside of running back, they weren't really special anywhere during the Bryce tenure. Outside of Jameson Williams, offensive line had issues. Worst offensive lines under Saban these last couple of years. Worst receiving corps under Saban these last couple of years. Mechie was good and Slade Bolden was okay, but last year Brooks was inconsistent. All those guys. Obviously, I don't think Bama's as good as they are last year. I don't think they're just going to be bad, but you're telling me you lose Will Anderson and Bryce Young, man, it's tough. It's really, really, really tough. So yes, we got to go to Tuscaloosa, but still, let's see. There's a schedule for you right there. Obviously, Florida State's a toss-up, and if it's a toss-up again, you would like to think we would win the second one. But Mississippi State, first-year coach, you don't believe that this team isn't going to take a step back after losing Leach? I believe that they will. Arkansas, KJ, that's always a concern because KJ's a really good football player. But Ole Miss should be pretty solid. I think that Missouri game is very tricky. Winning both of those games is going to be very hard. You guys know the PHL stat. I don't toot my own horn too often, but this was a stat that we've been on top of the last couple of years. Rarely do you win both games of a back-to-back true road game situation. Only 2019 LSU and 2022 Georgia have been the only teams to do it since 2019. So it's really hard to win back-to-back road games. Auburn, I think, is going to take a step forward. I do believe Hugh Freeze is a really good coach, and I like the coordinator moves that they've made. The Army game, I thought was going to be tricky with the triple option. They're not going to run the triple option anymore. Obviously, Alabama is Alabama. And then, of course, Florida, Georgia Southern, and A&M. A&M should be better. Florida should be worse, if you ask me, with Graham Mertz at quarterback. Even though I don't think his spring game was as bad as people put it out to be. So, right now, Danny, I think LSU should firmly be a no less than 9-3 team next year. And honestly, this should be an 11-1 SEC champion. It's tough to win 11 games with that schedule, but it should be no less than 9-3 next year. It should be no less than 9-3. Okay, so there you have it. Now, what I will say, okay, and this is going to make a lot of you uncomfortable, but you come here for objective LSU analysis, okay? And this one, what I'm at, it is going to make you feel a little uneasy, all right? And that's okay, because we're going to be better when it comes to what I'm about to say, all right? We were very lucky last year, and that's fine. Better to be lucky than good. The great Andy Gray, a British soccer announcer, said that on FIFA 2003. Okay, it's better to be lucky than good. We're very lucky last year. I would venture off to say that there's not many teams that were behind 17-0 on the road after a traumatic injury happened on the first play of the game. That team up 17-0 still ended up averaging 6.3 yards per play, and you only ended up averaging 3.6 yards per play. Oh, by the way, you won this game, and your starting quarterback left the game with an injury. We won that game. That, of course, was the Auburn game, which, whether you want to admit it or not, I freaked out after seeing the Sevyn Banks injury. That is a hard thing to overcome on the road. It was very scary. I'm glad he's okay, and I hope he is able to find an NFL career next year. We did not play our best. More often than not, if you averaged less than 4 yards per play and the other team averages 6, you are going to lose. We're very lucky to win that game. Once again, better to be lucky than good. It's better to have BJ Ojolari, Greg Brooks, and Harold Perkins on your team than not having those guys on your team. Okay? Then, of course, there was the Arkansas game, which was a very fortunate win for us. Okay? Won't go over that one too deep, but I think a lot of you would agree with that. Thank God for Harold Perkins once again. Then you had the Mississippi State game where offensively we were a mess in the first half. And it took the Slade Roy fumble recovery to flip the momentum in that game. Remember, they were winning 16-10 with returning the ball. They muffed the punt, and we didn't turn back. And Mississippi State was on the back end of a back-to-back road game. So that game ended up looking like a blowout. We pulled away in the fourth quarter. Give Jacob Flynn a lot of credit for that. Give Jane a lot of credit for that. A really good fourth quarter performance. Malik, a lot of people stepped up for us. Perk, Jay Ward was SEC Defensive Player of the Week that game. We're very lucky. So I bring up all of that to say this. National champions dominate the opposition, especially in recent years. There are few and far between national champions who sneak by a lot of teams. And it is not luck when they are beating the teams that they play. Okay. Now, to beat Alabama, to beat Georgia, those games are going to be close and competitive unless Joe Burrow is your quarterback. That's not the case. So you got to find ways to win the games. But the sign of a good team is you go out there and you bludgeon the other team. They're tapping out. They are glad the game is over. They are begging for mercy at the end of the game. And, we want to see more of that. We want to be the aggressor. We want to be the person that is chalk outlining the other team. Where the other fans are like saying, okay, we had no business being in this game today. And that's going to be the next step. Can we go out there and force our will and dominate teams next year? And the way you do that is hitting more explosive plays. The way you do that is not falling asleep at the wheel defensively versus a Texas A&M offense who struggled with UMass the week before. You got to be on your P's and Q's. You got to be really focused, and you just got to get after it. So we got to go out there and dominate. All right. Now, this is true. UGA snuck by Mizzou. Very true statement. And Missouri played really well. Okay. And they probably should have won that game. But that was the only close game Georgia played all year. Okay. Outside of course, the Ohio State game, which is a playoff game. That's where we want to be. But based on the teams on their schedule, Kentucky ended up looking like it was close, 16-6. The truth is Kentucky got a stop on 4th and inches at the goal line and drove 99 yards down the field to score a touchdown. So instead of it being 23-0, it was 16-6. And Georgia still controlled that game. So that was one game that Georgia played that was close. Okay. So yeah, it should be interesting. Follow up, Danny Super Chat here. 100. We were very lucky last season, and I'm the odd one out because I do not feel like we won the SEC West, but more lucked into it with losses by others. But I like to be objective, no LSU glasses. No, there's some truth to it. Look, you got to have luck to win basically anything. We had a lot of it last year, and it's fine to say that, right? There's no team in LSU history that was luckier than the 07 team. They won a national championship. So sometimes you can get super lucky with things that go in your favor. And in that case, LSU did last year. Now, once again, you at the same time appreciate the locker room staying together after what was a rocky start to the season, the Florida State, then the Tennessee games and all of that. So there you go. Thanks, bud. You brought a patch. Night. Let me see the shirt. That's a strong punch. But yeah, but look, LSU also dominated some teams. We dominated Ole Miss after the 17-point cushion that we gave them defensively, um, and we pulled away from them. That was an offensive masterclass from LSU with the zone read and all of that. We dominated Florida offensively. So yeah, I mean there were some really good games from us. So it wasn't total luck, but there were just some offensive games and halves. I like to look at games in terms of not just games, but halves. There was just a lot of halves last year where we just weren't where we needed to be. So there you go. One more BY comment. I know Simper is a Bryce Young despiser. Just admit it. He's good. He's good. Yeah, I mean, no one had the luck like Les. It's still the weirdest thing about Les is that it still feels like those games, him being the coach here, it still feels like that was an eternity ago. And it could just be that I look at LSU football stuff every single day. But still. Yeah, Bryce did not have a good LSU game. Okay. But keep in mind, he didn't have receivers who can get open. We had some guys step up and play superhuman in that game. And once again, when these quarterbacks see Harold Perkins for the first time, a lot of these mobile quarterbacks that are used to dancing around everybody in the pocket, when Harold Perkins is breathing down your neck and he's gaining on you, it's a jolt. Esteban, what's good? I don't get it. What's up, Wiggins? ah, Jacob, I'm still pissed that you're not coming to the get together this weekend. You should have told your wife, hey, look, I know we got all these chores and we got a kid, but my favorite YouTuber is live and in the. Well, I don't know, but Jacob, you're a big AYS fan too, so I'm definitely number two to Blake. Uh, my second favorite YouTuber is in town, and he invited me to the show this weekend. We have got to quit these chores and go to the totally free show because I you know what, I actually had a DJ Chark card off to the side for if you showed up. Not what happened. End up giving it to a kid, so no worries. It was fun. It was fun. I love Bossier City. I do. I do. I will always defend North Louisiana in its honor. All right, here's what we're going to do. In the next 10 minutes, I'll answer as many questions as we possibly can. Okay. But if you super chat, we'll keep it moving. All right. Now, if we do get another super chat, I will drop my full top 10 quarterback list for the NFL draft on Thursday. Now, I'm glad you asked. My TT is doing absolutely fantastic. That is such a great question. The lemonade twang is still flowing. Yeah, I'm glad. I'll let her know. I'll let her know you asked. She's great. She's honestly great. She's my closest aunt on my mom's side, and it's wild. You want to know what's interesting? I think you would understand. I think you would like this, Pooh Bear, because I know you're very family oriented. So, growing up, obviously, I wasn't like around my New Roads family like as much as people in New Roads were around my New Roads family, and all my mom's side of her family, they all live in New Roads and Lafayette. So this past weekend, Patrick Queen's mother and sister know my family really well. So this weekend, I got to hear stories for the first time about my family, and I'm really close with them and spend quite a bit of time with them. They all came to my wedding. But you can't hear everything, and they don't remember everything. So they they said, "Look, here's what you need to know." And it was so cool. They were talking about New Roads Mardi Gras and how their kids are close with my cousin's kids. It was wild, absolutely wild. So Patrick Queen's family is close to my family. I didn't know that. I knew that they knew each other. My family actually did a favor for his family once before, but I didn't know that they actually like knew each other, which was really freaking cool. So Grant wants me to drop the top 10. There you go. Grant with another super chat. I really appreciate it. So Livonia and New Roads is basically the same thing. So it's close. So yeah, I mean they're Livonia, but they're close. Okay. So I think everyone, once again, I think everyone from New Roads knows Livonia and vice versa. But I didn't know that they knew like my cousin Brandy, my cousin Nikki. They were like, "Hey, doesn't your cousin live in Lafayette?" I was like, "She does." It's like crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Okay. Now, it wouldn't shock me, but as you can tell, genetically, Patrick Queen is far more blessed than me. Huh? 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 But there you go. Now, apparently the LSU baseball game is close. So I know a lot of you have it on in the background. I'll pull it up here. Or no, it'll be easier if I pull it up on here and watch. Let's see. The Felders? Oh, that's cool. The cool thing about New Roads, if you just say your family's last name, you just got to tell all your family in New Roads and be like, I know them. So my family are the Fobs. The Fobs. So do y'all want me to bring up baseball in the background? Let's see. It's probably easier if I put it up here. I wish the first thing I didn't get, I would think ESPN would know me better. I don't want to watch NHL ever. Ever. Oh, Dylan Cruz is at the plate? Okay. All right, runners on first and second. I was watching a little bit of this game earlier. Nicholls State has made some of the most amazing catches I've ever seen in a game. I saw both of those. Okay. 2-0. So I might be behind you guys. They'll probably going ahead and walk him here. They're just gonna walk him. All right, Pigeon Forge, we'll see you. Yeah, I wouldn't. If you're Nickel State, you got the opportunity to pull off this upset. You're not gonna let Dylan Cruz beat you. So Tommy Tanks is hurt. Okay. I was listening earlier. It's Lynn Rollins and crap. Come on, I know this guy who's calling the game. I know. I used to do some TV stuff with him in Baton Rouge. What's the name of the guy? Big guy. God, I'm drawing a blank. I sometimes do this an hour. Yes, Ronnie Rance. Okay. I love me some Ronnie Rance. All right. What will they do about the safety position? I think H-Town, they're just going to have to roll with what they have. I liked Kylan Jackson coming out, though. All right. Got a ball low and away. 1-0 count. I would normally I like to green light people, but if you've thrown 5 straight balls, I would take here, and he does. Don't send the runner. Don't send the runner. Don't send him. Good. 2-0. But yeah, I think they'll stick with what they have for right now. All right, so 2-0 count. See here, bases loaded. I think you just gotta. That's all. Oh no, that you can't call that a strike. Oh man, there's no way. Are you kidding me? There's no way. There's no way that's how this game is going to end. There's no way that's how this game is going to end. On a defensive play. Oh my God. That is a lucky dude. That is, you want to know why? So this is one of the few games I've sat and watched. I haven't watched from like the 5th inning on. They made the most ridiculous defensive plays to win this game. God, that is so crazy. I would not be disappointed at LSU at all. Do they quite literally made some of the most ridiculous? And I'm not a baseball expert, but I probably missed 10 other Greg Maddux, Brooks Robinson, Roberto Clemente freaking plays that they made. Okay, that is just fitting how that game ended like that. But yes, this is their Super Bowl, so wow. Wow. That is ridiculous. They didn't show replay? Oh, you gotta show. Oh, come on. They didn't show replay at all? Oh, come on. You gotta show a replay. I know we're pissed that we lost. I swear, I am not a baseball expert. Never will be. Okay. They quite like LSU hit balls hard all night long, and they went straight to people. Okay, that's baseball for you. That is baseball for you. How do they not replay that though? I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything like that. I swear, I've never seen anything like that. What was it? So he made the catch. They made two different catches running into the center field wall. Then the shortstop made the over the shoulder catch that would have blooped in. Ah, that is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I mean, Nichols. It's so lucky to have that ball bloop in to where he catches it and doubles up for the W. I even just tweeted about it. I'm rarely floored by a baseball game, but that was stupid. Wait, so has he done anything? Has Braden Johnson done anything so far, Branson? It's crazy. It's crazy. They didn't even, I'm shocked that they didn't show a replay of the double up. Like, I understand, a loss, it was upset. You want to get the broadcast over with, but show one replay. Like, show me something. It's like that that Denzel Washington meme. I'm gonna leave with something. huh? Huh? But yeah, I do want to bring this up. I know we touch on different things a little bit later. This Jamie Foxx stuff is scaring the bejesus out of me. I don't know many entertainers that have given me more joy than that man. And honestly, it's not like even really the movies or the comedy. All that stuff's great. Steamin' Willie Beeman, baby. But there is never in the history of life a better person to be interviewed than Jamie Foxx. He tells just the best stories I have ever heard in my life. And it's the storytelling, it's the impressions, it's the energy. That was always like a bucket list person for me to meet. So I hope he gets over all these health scares. But Jamie, I mean, you talk about most talented entertainers ever. It is crazy. And I know, Jordan, you're a big comedy fan, so like if you actually look at all the impressionists, and if you like, I know I'm mostly sports, so I don't look at as many movies and comedy specials, especially now, that I used to, but music and all of that, uh, he is masterful. So I I hope he's okay. Oh man. So I've not seen the Trae Young shot yet. Should I watch the Trae Young? Let's see. We got a Gus Johnson on the call. Ugh. All right, all you cool cats and kittens. That shot was crazy. Now, if it is in your heart's desire, I hope you join the PHL Patreon. If you love me, you'll join our Discord community. Okay? You'll also get yourself some PHL merch. Normal guy, there's a link for you to get some PHL merch right there. And be on the lookout. We got a lot of content dropping. Big commitment coming up tomorrow. Okay? I'll talk to you tomorrow. It is Power Hour LSU. Bam! And tonight we are doing some Cajun Creole pasta. Let's